model. This is
tilts.
what you believe. This is what
No,
you
no, no.
believe. I don't.
Okay, I'm trying to find out what you believe. It's not what I believe. It's what I follow the evidence. And I know that when it's sundown for me, I can talk to somebody. It's still in daylight. I can talk to somebody on the phone on the other side of the planet. They might be in the middle of the night. They might be in tomorrow.
Yep.
Because this is the way a sphere works. This is not the way a disk works.
It is the way a disk works with the sun going around the top of it.
But that doesn't work for the reasons we've already explained. For the things that you can see in the sky in the southern climes when you're down close toward the Antarctic Circle.
Okay, if there's a northern star that's above the North Pole, then after you get to the equator, that star is now at the horizon. It's dropped due to perspective. So if you go past the horizon, you cannot see the North Star anymore.
Which on a disk, you would still be able to see it.
And I just said you would not be able to.
And I know that you mistakenly said that you would not be able to see it, but yes, in fact, you would be able to see it. Okay. If it were a disk, you would still be able to see it.
And I told you that in a bedroom where you had a light on top, you said that wouldn't happen on a flat plane. Have you ever looked at a long hallway like at a hotel in Vegas?
Yes.
You look down that long hallway and the ceiling hits the floor, and that building is, how long is the hallway? A couple hundred feet?
And there would never be a time when the effect that you're talking about could ever happen, where the light would disappear beneath the floor.
I never said anything but disappeared beneath the floor. I said that light would
beneath the horizon in this case, which would be the floor in this case.
No, I told you that nothing goes below the horizon. The sun is never below your feet, Aron. Never.
Okay, so why is it that the sun appears to dip where you can't see it? Why would the sun be below my airplane?
Because it's further from you. That's how the perspective works.
But it's not how perspective works. When the ground no longer sees the sun, and I can, that's proof that it's a matter of angle. It's with a sphere. They can't see it because there's a curvature of the Earth in the way. I'm higher, so I can still see it.
That's the way a plane. That's the way a plane would work. That's the way a plane would work. If you're talking about somebody who's 3 foot tall.
If it's on a sphere, if we're flying over a sphere, if it were a flat disk, then the sensation you're talking about could never occur.
Okay, so
the sun would always be visible, no matter how far away it was.
That's what you're thinking, but I'm trying to tell you why it's not true.
That is what I'm knowing. Yes, that is what I'm knowing, and that is where you're wrong. So,
okay, well,
give me something else you're wrong about.
You say
change the subject.
The funny thing is, you're saying that you know these things, and you don't know them. You don't know them
because I can demonstrate them because I already have.
You can demonstrate what? That the Earth's a sphere?
Mm-hmm. And I gave you a number of ways to do that already, and I've got several more.
So despite your senses telling you the opposite,
my senses don't tell me the opposite.
Oh, you feel like you're spinning? You feel like you're flying through space?
Because I'm in the atmosphere. I'm part of the gravity and the momentum of the motion. Yes, so I would not, of course, feel that. The same as a fly in your car would not feel that it's going 80 miles an hour. Whether it takes off or goes forward or backward or lands, it's traveling with the atmosphere, so it's not going to notice the difference in speed that the car is going.
What if you open the windows?
But if you open the windows and take it out of that, then it's going to have a different relativity.
What if it's still inside the car and the windows are open?
That depends on the disturbance inside the car. It depends on the car.
Okay, so if the atmosphere moves along with the Earth perfectly, then why is there such thing as the Coriolis force? What is causing the Coriolis force? What is causing the winds? We actually have trade winds.
Varying temperatures.
Okay, so that's what explains why we have the winds down south, around the circumpolar winds that are 250 miles per hour in the same direction that the Earth spins. So the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles per hour to the east. The winds go 200.
It's irrelevant which speed the Earth is spinning, because the atmosphere is still going to be contained by the topography and then fueled only by the temperature in variant areas. So with heat expanding in one place and contracting where it's colder, that's going to generate the motion of winds and currents.
Okay, and
it only works on a sphere. It wouldn't work on a disk.
Well, how wouldn't it work on a disk? Where do you get that? Where would you come up with that fact? Have you seen a disk?
Because you have to have a model first.
Okay, so the model is a disk model.
Works.
What do you mean? Show you that something on it works? You live on the disk.
I don't live on a disk. I live on a globe, and I can prove that. And you don't live on a disk either. You keep denying the realities to make up something else that isn't a fact.
It's not denying reality. It's being
give me the model to recognize. So we have. How do we stay on the ground? Right. We would be discussing gravity now. Right.
Okay.
So you don't think that the moon is a sphere, do you?
No, not in my opinion.
Okay. So is the moon a circle?
I don't know what the moon is. It could be a sphere.
The argument can't be that you know that it's not, but you don't know what it is.
Okay. Are we having a discussion, or are we having a debate where I'm taking a position? My thing was, and
I considered it an interrogation. I want to know.
Sure, interrogate all you want. And if I don't have the answer to something, I'm not going to make it up. I'm not going to I'm not going to pretend and make a. I'm not going to make a film.
Exactly that. I don't know what the moon is, therefore it's not a sphere. I don't know what the planets are, therefore they're not planets.
Well, when somebody has to lie,
everybody who knows, because everyone who's studied carefully is all part of a vast conspiracy. I don't know that either, therefore I know it.
Never said that either. Did I say everybody was part of a vast conspiracy?
Was copying everybody else's data, that nobody had any observations, but they do have observations.
I didn't say nobody had observations. So you're very good at putting words in people's mouth. You said that there was a book,
one book, and everybody copied from it. Copernicus on. And so that nobody could have discovered any new planets because they're all copying off this old book and nobody was making their own observations. Yes, you did in fact say that.
I said that about Copernicus and I said that about Tycho Brahe, which is the case, and Kepler. They didn't discover any planets.
Because they all made their own observations.
But their observations match identically to the Almagest. Yeah, well, I'm just telling you that
on the planets that exist, yes, but on the ones that were added later on or discovered,
it has nothing to do with Copernicus. It has nothing to do with Tycho Brahe.
And then we have satellite images, which of course you're going to deny because that's all part of the.
Not going to deny. Right? They're definitely composites. I'll show you every one of them that they're all composites. There's not the only picture.
It's just a massive hoax. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess what's a massive hoax?
So these things exist. These, like Jupiter, it's like 88,000 miles across. With the red spot storm and all of the other storms and everything on that. How do you explain that?
It's a storm of gas?
Yeah.
Okay, where's your evidence of this? Do we have video evidence of this gas planet existing in its size and everything?
Yes.
Where is it? I want to see it.
Look it up online. It's everywhere.
I've looked it up. I see telescope images from Earth.
Looked up video images of the red spot on Jupiter and were unable. Your Google foo was insufficient to find you the video images of the red spot on Jupiter?
No, I found it. It's video evidence of a telescope looking at Jupiter from the Earth. Okay, so what is your evidence that it's the size that it is?
And there are video images.
What is your evidence that it is the size that we're told? What is the evidence? What is the evidence that the moons are the size that we're told? This is what I'm trying to say is that I just simply choose.
Even if the moons are smaller than our moon, which almost all of them, actually I think all of them are smaller than our moon, that still necessitates that the planets they are orbiting are such massively large things.
Okay, so
we wouldn't be able to hold them otherwise.
So do you understand that mathematically I could construct a whole map for you of my fake amusement park? I could get the correct distances, the correct sizes. I could tell you
do that. Okay. Give me the model of your fake world. Give me the disk. And explain how gravity works.
Okay, but
explain what the planets are.
Would you admit that I could do that? I could do that math.
No, I'm challenging you to do that, and you're not doing it.
I said of an amusement park. Can I? You don't think I can?
Let's call that amusement park the flat disk of the Earth. Produce a model, mathematically, whatever. Produce the model and show me how gravity works. Show me what the planets are. Come up with an alternative reality that has some kind of defensibility to it. Sure. Not just I don't know, therefore I know.
Well, gravity works because you weigh more than the air. The air cannot support you.
How can I weigh more if gravity doesn't work?
Because I just told you that
gravity does work?
No, your mass is greater. It's too much for the air to support.
Okay.
However, the air can support a helium balloon.
This is a weight. So everything has an atomic weight to it.
Mass, yes.
Right, atomic mass. Great. So that's what gravity is. Matter attracting matter.
No.
Right?
No. And where's the evidence of that?
Where's the evidence of matter attracting matter?
Yeah.
Have you looked at the moon?
Okay. Do you understand that you're just making all these assumptions? That's not part of science.
That's not an assumption. You can look at the moon. You don't have to assume the moon. You can look at the moon.
Okay, and the moon is falling to Earth?
With any decent telescope will show you the moon. It'll show you that it's made of dirt.
Okay, and the moon is falling to Earth?
What evidence do we have that the moon is falling to Earth?
That's what you guys claim. That's what the heliocentric claim is.
No, it is not. Nowhere remotely. Having the sun at the center of the solar system has nothing to do with whether the moon is falling to the Earth. If things establish an orbit because of their momentum, that's irrespective of the sun being in the center of the universe or center of the solar system.
Okay, so at the time of Newton said he saw an apple fall on his head. That's all a myth, of course, but his idea was that the moon is falling to the Earth, but it's just missing the Earth and remaining in this orbit.
In a sense, everything in space is falling.
Okay.
But you have momentum that is going into a centripetal motion because it's centered around another gravitational force. It's like you can stretch a sheet out and put a weight in the middle of the sheet, and then you can spin another ball around that, and this is kind of a simulation of the way gravity works. It's bending the fabric of space-time.
Well, what is the fabric of space-time? Space is the absence of everything, and now you've just given it qualities that allows it to be bent.
It's not an absence of everything.
Okay, then what is it?
There is a fabric of space-time.
What is it? What is it made of? Fabric of what?
That's what it is.
Okay, so you're just doing the same thing. You're yelling at me and saying you're making up this make-believe stuff. You're making make-believe things. There's no fabric of space-time.
Okay, what is leather made of?
Cows.
Well, leather is made of leather.
It's made of cow skin. That's what it's made of.
The fabric of space-time is just the definition. It is the fabric of space-time. That's what it is. Okay. And what it's made of is the thing that it is.
So what is space?
They don't have another word for it.
So space is the fabric of space-time? But it's the absence of molecules. But it's the absence of molecules, right? For the most part, it's not a perfect vacuum, but it's very close.
Not a perfect vacuum. You're correct. So, do you accept that gravity is matter attracting matter because everything has an atomic mass?
No, because I don't see any evidence of anything attracting.
So you have an alternative to gravity. What is it?
You have mass, and things with mass obviously weigh more than what's around them.
How can they weigh more? What makes them weigh more?
Their mass makes them weigh more around the area that they're in, the atmosphere.
Compared to what holds me to the Earth? Is it because matter attracts matter like gravity? Or is it
the air can't support you?
Thing?
The air cannot support you, but the air can support a helium balloon.
The air cannot support me because matter attracts matter, which means that gravity works, or matter does not attract matter, which means gravity does not work, which is
Aron. So if what you're describing is true, then why does a helium balloon rise when it is made of mass? It has mass. And so the Earth has mass.
Less mass than the atmosphere around it.
Hold on a second. You said mass attracts mass. So there's mass. Right. A helium balloon is a item of mass. The Earth is mass. Why aren't those two things attracting each other?
They are. That's why the balloon doesn't fly off into space. However, heavier objects are going to crowd their way in ahead of it.
What?
The Earth is itself a massive ball of matter, which is going to exude a lot of pressure gravitationally on all other things. So oxygen and nitrogen and hydrogen, or oxygen and nitrogen at least, and CO2 and all of this are going to gather in ahead of your helium because the helium is lighter, and so is the hydrogen by itself. So those things are going to be on the outside.
Okay.
Now that's on the sphere. That's in the reality. Now what about in the disk world?
Hold on a second. You still haven't described. You have two things of mass, and mass attracts. So why isn't it attracting the helium balloon?
It is. I say a second time.
It's not. It's moving away from it. So
it
you
is.
Have attractions
for a
that move away.
time, I will explain because the
helium. You can explain.
The helium weighs less than the oxygen and the CO2 and everything around it, which means that those other things are going to crowd in front of it, which is why that's going to go higher. That's why we're on the bottom and the helium is lighter than us because there is less mass.
Mm-hmm.
So the air cannot support us, but the air can support it. And that's because gravity works. But in your situation, you've got a whole other thing because you don't have the ball of liquid metal and all of that creates all this gravity that holds all these things down. You have a disk, which can't work that way. So gravity can't work in your situation, which means you have to come up with an alternative model.
Well, it is the majority of mass, but I don't believe in the gravity that makes things spheres. No.
What kind of gravity do you believe in?
Well, if you want to talk about the fact that things have a tendency to fall down, my only thing there is that it's not necessarily. People say, why is down a preferred? Well, why isn't down up? Well, because if it was up, then up would be down. So, I mean, it's not a preferred direction. It's just simply the direction that we call down, which is where things with mass that can't be supported by the medium that they're in. That's why things in the ocean can float like a tennis ball, because the ocean can support the tennis ball, but it can't support the rock. The rock has the mass that causes it and the density that causes it to sink. So where I draw a line is when you're talking about the gravitational pull of the moon, or that the Earth puts this gravitational pull on the moon does the Earth, and the tides are because of the moon. All this stuff is not supported by the kind of evidence that would be required to be. That actually
is. What do you mean it's not supported by the evidence? It is the evidence of a globe.
Okay,
so you're telling me that the moon is not orbiting the Earth. So we have this massive
going above the Earth.
We have this 2,000 mile diameter ball of dirt that you say is not a ball, that you say is a light, but it's a light that's made of dirt and only reflects the sun, so it's not a light, but it doesn't fall either. So what kind of gravity do you believe in that has an object that wouldn't fall if it's orbiting, but you say it's not orbiting, so why isn't it falling?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily made of matter.